sunrise on Texas' most southern tip, South Padre Island. The salty, wet wind howls in from the sea, bringing blowing sand, seaweed, and angry surf. Not exactly what you'd call a Chamber of Commerce day, but the perfect day to find nesting sea turtles.
I just hope that I can find a turtle or two and contribute to this amazing project that Sea Turtle Inc. is doing.
Sharon Lee is a marine biologist here from California. She's an intern at a very special organization here on the island called Sea Turtle Inc. And on days like this, she and a small team of ATV riders each take a 32-mile ride up the coast and back in search of sea turtles laying their eggs in the South Padre sand.
If we found tracks, we would follow the tracks up and look for the disturbed area where the mama nests. If she's still there, we would let her lay her eggs. And then afterwards, we would recollect the eggs and place it into our corral, bring it back to our corral.
But there's more to protecting this seafaring Texas native than sheltering their eggs. Sick and injured turtles are brought here to South Padre's Sea Turtle Hospital, where they get a second chance at survival. It's a unique place made for a very unique creature.
Sea turtles are ancient creatures. We know that some species go back 100 million years, and they all
100 million?
100 million years. They're dinosaurs alive today. Well, we might see 30 or 40 animals in a year. We're in the business of treating an animal and getting them back in the ocean.
Jeff George is the executive director of Sea Turtle Inc., and he has grown this facility into a world-class wildlife preservation center. It's come a long way since it began back in the 1960s in the backyard of an eccentric lady named Isla Letcher.
Isla started her efforts with the Adams back in the 60s, and it was decided maybe we needed to know how long it took a turtle to be reproductive. And so Isla volunteered and raised a few in her backyard of these little babies for the scientists to come in and study. And then she started accepting the injured ones. Well, at the same time, South Padre Island was growing as a tourist destination. Everybody was knocking on the door. We hear you have sea turtles. Can we come in and see them? And she would invite perfect strangers into her house, into her living room, tell them a little bit about the species, tell them a little bit about biology. And then in the 70s, when the U.S. Congress enacted the Endangered Species Act, she formed a nonprofit organization that is thriving today, known as Sea Turtle Inc., and that's where you're standing.
One of the turtles Isla kept was then a tiny little guy named Jerry, who's still here. And he's not so tiny anymore. He's been here a long
time. Early 80s as just a hatchling, and then Isla used him for publicity. She used him for a little bit of research. And now he's too socialized, so he's one of our non-releasable turtles. Jerry's now in his early 30s. Life expectancy, probably another 100 years. Okay, so he's got this propeller gash, and he's got some paralysis, so we're trying to see how much reflex he has back here.
Thousands of turtles have passed through this place after convalescing in the care of Jeff and his staff of interns. They've even made history with the only successful turtle fin prosthetic. There's just one problem, and it's a good one to have.
We've outgrown this facility. We need room to handle 800 injured turtles or 100 injured turtles. It's getting harder and harder to place a non-releasable. We need homes for some non-releasables. We've purchased 5 acres of land right next door. Now we've got to go out and in this vision, we've got to generate a few $1 million. And that's a big monumental task, but given where we started in that little lady's backyard and where we're at today, I think it's doable.
Examination, rehabilitation, education. That's what happens here every day But when the time comes for a patient to return to the sea, well, that's a special day indeed. We hitch a ride on a pleasure cruise to return one of the Gulf's own. It's true, this young turtle has little chance of making it for another 25 years or so, but if he does, the South Texas sand will call to him, no matter how far his travels take him.
And they'll travel thousands of miles, as far as Venezuela, Cape Cod. We just had one found in the Netherlands. But when it's time for them to reproduce, they'll come right back to South Texas. This turtle has a separated shoulder, and we know that from X-ray. We have no idea how an animal, a sea turtle, gets a separated shoulder.
We're going to release this one with a separated shoulder?
He's using it, you know, and we released 3 flippered turtles. It may or may not heal on its own, but there's no reason to keep this beautiful animal in captivity. He belongs in the ocean.
This is the day of freedom.
Yeah, and you can tell he's ready to go.
All right. Hey, you ready to go? All right. Good luck.
Oh, this is the best part of all of it, is knowing that you did a little bit to help an animal make it through the hump and get back in the ocean where they belong.
Why do you care so much about these creatures?
Most,
you could just look the other way, you know.
Yeah, most people in marine biology do it because it is a passion. There's not a lot of money to be made, but we have that sense of what little things we do might just make a difference. And so what drives people working with endangered species is that drive to make a little bit of difference, to leave our stamp.
They are some of the oldest yet most vulnerable creatures on Earth, and thousands of them call South Padre Island home. Jeff George and Sea Turtles Inc. is playing an enormous role in their preservation, helping those that can be helped, and returning them to the open water to face the world.
If even 1 out of 100 comes back and keeps the species alive, I've done my job.